What's up, everyone? This is Danny Vega, aka Danny V, and welcome to TDV Live. Yes, TDV Live. If you don't know what TDV Live is, we're all about the mental journey, the spiritual growth here at TDV Live. And right now, I have a very special guest on here who has some amazing accomplishments under her belt. She represented Team USA. Yes, that is right. You're like, what? Team USA? That is right. She's Team USA. And also now she is going into just beginning her journey into the stunt realm and for films and TV shows and whatnot. So that's pretty cool too. So everyone, welcome Megan Dovell. Megan, what is up?
Hey guys, what's up everyone?
That was the most humble
Yeah,
intro ever.
hey, I don't know.
Everyone's like, "Hey, welcome. I'm happy to be here." She's just like,
Oh,
"What's up?"
definitely happy to be here. You could see me smiling, I didn't know what to
I
say. Yeah,
have to give you shit. You know, you're
yeah.
a friend of mine. So, all right. So, Megan, I did not know this until I did some research. But you were born in Massachusetts.
Yes, yeah, Framingham. Framingham Hospital, but lived in Holliston.
That's by Massachusetts, Boston, and we're gonna click the Red Sox off right now because this is a Yankee. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not partial to any of that, so don't bother me.
That's funny. But and then you moved to Michigan, huh? And then Georgia.
Yep, yeah, my father was an engineer for General Motors, so he was just moving from plant to plant. And yeah, so I'm a Yankee, but I grew up in the South. I feel like I have a little bit of both tendencies. I like to move at a slow pace, but then at a lot of times I like to get things done fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a contradiction there. But yeah.
Well, it's how do you say it? Well, I'm from New York, and even though when you move from a young age, you have parents that are from New York, and me always visiting back, it's always fast paced. So like, I never got like my walk is always New York walk. Like I got somewhere to go. Like I have somewhere to go. I have somewhere to be. Like this is not a time to slow down. Just
Yeah.
move out of my way.
Yeah. I feel like I have blocks. Like if I'm out to go take a walk, I'm going to walk slow, enjoy myself. But if I need to oh, I'm going to go to the gym in a little bit, it's like, even if I have 2 hours in my mind, I'm like, I gotta get there. I gotta get there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So it's just, I don't know. Yeah, growing up, different, moving around and stuff. Um,
Yeah, so I totally know that feel, but it's funny because I seldom like find myself walking slow. Like even enjoying is like a faster pace than other people. So it's like
yeah,
a slow for me, but like everyone's like you still walk so fast. That's funny.
that's how Ryan is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, you see, because he's from New York, that's exactly what it is.
Yep. So I was just thinking, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you graduated from Kennesaw State University.
Yeah, Kennesaw. It was. I went to three
Oh,
different universities.
Kennesaw. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's okay. Uh, yeah, no one would have any idea how to say it if you're not from around there. But it's a huge school now. There's like 30,000 students, but yeah, I played ice hockey at Chatham University, which was a D3 school, and I was captain my freshman year. And I felt like I always had Olympic dreams for ice hockey, so I was like, well, I'll never get recruited from a D3 school. I need to go play D1,
Yeah.
and I was already in Pittsburgh, and there happened to be a new D1 school that was just my freshman year was their first year, so my sophomore year would be their second year as a D1 school, and it was Robert Morris University. So I transferred, was a walk on, did the best I could, did some stuff. By my third year, I was I was good, but I didn't stay on the team, and some stuff happened, and I moved and went back to Georgia, which was Kennesaw State University. I have a twin sister; she was there at the business school, so I was like, well, maybe if I go to this school, my twin can help me because I felt like a dumb jock, and I didn't know how I would handle school as a non-athlete and having attention and help all the time. So thank you to her. I survived college because of her. But yeah, it was great. I had great experiences and it all worked out. Yeah.
So let's touch upon that. So when you were doing ice hockey, like where did that dream come from? Like was it something that you saw on TV as a little girl? Like where did it happen that you're like, yep, that's what I want to do? Like how did that all, come into play?
So I don't have any memories living in Massachusetts because I moved when I was 2. But from age 2 to 8, I lived in Michigan, and that's where I learned to ice skate on the pond. And we lived out in the middle of nowhere. It was actually, the town was called Clarkston. Uh, Eminem actually had a house there for a while, but where we lived, it was off of a dirt road. We all had, like, every house had acres of property, and nothing fancy. It was just out in the country, and there was a little lake, a pond in the middle of the neighborhood, and we'd always like fish, ride, paddle boats, and learn to skate. And I just remember really loving all the boy stuff. Like, my twin would go play with dolls, and then I would go play with little, like, all the other little dudes outside and get muddy and like catch frogs. And then I realized there was another group of girls at school that liked doing it too. And I don't know what it was or if we saw someone on TV, but we all, like 5 of us, decided to get bowl haircuts. And so embarrassing now, but we thought, oh, if we look like boys, we can play all the boys' sports. And in 2nd grade, there was indoor like floor hockey just on shoes and gym. And that was like normal in Michigan. You don't really see that in Georgia. But after playing that, I was like, yeah, I love this. And then my dad took me to a Vipers game, which was like a minor, like ECHL team, like underneath the NHL, AHL, ECHL level team. We went there, and I remember my dad got me one of those like foam fingers with a snake on, like a viper, a snake on it. And we were like in the nosebleeds, and I just remember loving it. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And then seeing it at school, seeing it there. And then we moved, like months later, we moved to Georgia, and I was in 3rd grade. I still looked like a boy, getting bullied a lot for it in Georgia. And I remember just
I
wanting.
bet in Georgia, you'd be like, look at
Yeah,
that girl with that haircut.
it was rough. It was not nice, but I remember playing street hockey, and then all of a sudden, my brother realized there was a older brother, 3 years older. There was an ice hockey rink 5 miles from us, and he said he wanted to play. And I begged and begged my mom, and by 4th grade, I was allowed to play, which in hockey world, that is late. That is really, really late. You're supposed to start like at age 2. So finally signed up, started playing, and I played with boys up until college. High school, I played on girls' travel teams and the boys' high school varsity team and another boys' like club team. I was always playing on a lot of teams, but my parents, thank you for that. But yeah, I don't know. I just fell in love with it. I saw it. I liked the speed of it. I liked the action. I liked seeing fans cheer. And I had never been to a baseball game, a basketball game, a football game. So I had nothing to relate to other than, wow, hockey is fast and just awesome. And so I just went for it, and I just always enjoyed it. And I think as being an only girl all the time, I kind of liked that. I was like, yeah, I have something to prove. I have something to prove. I'm really tiny. I'm from Georgia now, like in this non-hockey state, and I'm a girl. So like part of me hated it and part of me loved that. So yeah, it's kind of where it came from.
That's awesome. So, would you say that your parents influenced you with your mindset for that? Because everyone tries a sport, but eventually, when you get a few nicks, bruises, or things don't go your way, all of a sudden you have that thought, oh, this is not for me. I shouldn't be doing this, and then they leave. Or even per se, they're great at it in high school, but they get into college and like, oh shoot, I'm not as good as I thought I was, and then they never go pro or anything else like that. So what made you stick with that? Was that your parents' mindsets? Like, did they instill that in you, or did you like have that from friends or books or anything else? Well, or your sister, because your sister, she read books, so.
Yeah. I do read books. Later in life, I've read some really good books. Happy to touch base on with mindset. Early age, my parents instilled some really good things in me, but not like a mental mindset for accomplishing things. Nothing direct like that. But my father was, and mother too, but my father was like, if we're paying for something for you, you're going to be fully committed. You're not going to miss a practice, and you're never going to be late for a practice. You're going to do your best in a game. And it was more of like, don't complain, like be happy to, like, if you didn't, like, when I played boys hockey, I did not play barely ever, and I was way better than most of my teammates, and that is very cocky to say, but my coaches will tell you,
It's
Megan,
confidence. True.
it's
Yeah,
no,
it's confidence.
it was a it was
Obvious.
no, it was obvious, but Megan, we did not play you because you were tiny and we were scared you were gonna get killed, because the guys were over six. I'm 5'2". The guys were well over 6 feet in high school. Some were even doing steroids on team. A couple guys on my team, a couple guys on other teams, and they're just like, "Yo, there's like some just angry teenage dudes out there." And fights did happen in high school. Like people were trying to fight me. Luckily, I held my own on like a few, and luckily my teammates like helped protect me. So looking back now, I understand them. Then I was pissed about it, and I didn't understand. But yeah, really young age, elementary school, all the way up to 18 and before college, my parents were like, if you commit to something, you're going to commit. And it really instilled that work ethic in me. But the mentalness, I actually had a funny story. Was playing street hockey, and I had to be in elementary school still, like maybe 9 or 10. And a neighbor kid, and they were from New York. They were from Buffalo, New York, and they became my best friend Nick. I ended up living with that family after college for a few years, super close. The dad would play hockey with us. Like, my dad didn't play hockey, but this dad did. So he was like my hockey dad. He took a slap shot, little plastic hockey ball, street hockey ball, hit me, had a welt, and I was like, oh boy, I'm a cry. So I went up to my house. We're all in the cul-de-sac, so it's not far. I just went up, went inside, started, Mom, and my mom's reading her book, and she's like, it's like a Sunday afternoon. Mom, I was like, Uncle Tommy, like, hit me with a hockey ball, and she's like mad. I stopped her reading. I interrupted her nice Sunday afternoon. She's like, do you want to play with the boys? Yeah, Mom, I do, of course, yeah. Well, then stop acting like a little girl. And I was like, not sure if that would be really appropriate today in 2021, but that never again did I cry in front of anyone. Like, unless it was like during like my boyfriend and we're watching like a movie, but like in sport, I will not cry in front of anyone. And later in life, I've had concussions, but I've broken a rib underneath here. I've dislocated my shoulders. I've torn my ACL, all playing hockey on the rink. Nothing. I kept playing. Like, I would play through things. I was like, nope. Like, so my not mean. I love her to death. And she's a very kind, loving woman. But like, my little hard, and my mom, I'm 5'2", my mom's like 4'11", 5 from Boston, like, she's like, nah, we're not doing this. Like, and just nipped it. And so never again, like, and my mom always said, you are the one choosing to play hockey. Like, you don't have to put up with this. Like, there's plenty of people out there that can't choose their situation and have to actually be like, succumb to abuse of some sort, And so she's like, you signed up for it. So I was like, okay. So that mental toughness started there. And I just blanked on another story I had, but it pretty much, that was the foundation, was my mom saying that to me.
Seems like your mom's a tough cookie. That's where it comes from.
Very tough. Very tough. Yeah.
I think that's an element that's missing. I know how you said, and it's kind of controversial to say, but in 2021, I think we're missing a lot of backbone. Everyone has that. How to say? I shouldn't say everyone. Yeah. A lot of people. It's more of a comfort. It's more of a comfort thing, like, oh, do this for me, or oh, I can't do it so hard, which is all understanding. I'm very compassionate and empathetic, but there are times that there needs to be a balance, I feel. there's a balance that, you know, the hard work and the backbone is what gets you through tough times, because nothing's tougher. And the reason why we're doing this show is nothing's tougher than your own mentality breaking you down. So that was great that your mom gave you that, because it's kind of like our mind does place tricks on us. It really does.
Yeah.
And that is a great thing that, you know, she instilled in you. And obviously it helped you through your career, because not only did you know you went through ice hockey, but then it got you to represent Team USA. So because that after ice hockey you did the skeleton, which is nuts to me.
Yeah.
So touch up on that. Like, how did you transition from that? I read somewhere that a coach talked to you, like approached you with the doing the skeleton.
Yeah. So yeah, my dream was to be an ice hockey Olympian. And I ended up going, and I got to play. Well, actually, I've got so many stories. So in high school, I actually was supposed to be at a USA camp and for ice hockey. And the weekend of the trials, I was still ranked like top 3, but only 2 girls go. But something happened to me and I needed an emergency surgery. Whole other story. Don't mind sharing, but that's a whole other story. And I was in extreme pain during my trials, but I was like, this is it. This is my only opportunity. And yeah, it didn't happen. And I was really disappointed. And I was like, well, I guess I got to go take any college that'll take me, play D3, and then try and work my way up D1, try and get recruited. But then D1 ended. And I actually went into a bit of a depression for a few years. And a lot of things I say about it, I'm not aware. Like, I'm not aware of a lot of things that are going on. At the time, I'm just like, wow, like, my coaches fucking hate, oh, sorry, my coaches hate me. Like, they don't want to play me, and I'm better than these boys. Why? Like, why are these people mean to me at school and calling me names? Like, what? Like, I'm a nice person. Like, I do not do mean things. Like, I don't understand why things are happening to me. And then once I didn't get to play D1 or play USA ice hockey, and I was pretty depressed, I was like, I got to start, I was coaching hockey, and then I started working, I worked for the NHL, and I started working for the NBA, and I just tried so many things. I've had over 30 jobs, and I've never like really just quit and walked out. Like, and I was just always searching, like, if ice hockey Olympian isn't going to happen, what's my passion? What should I do? And, a couple things happened, and I realized when people tell me I can't do something, that's a really strong motivation for me. And someone told me I was like old and washed up, like before I think I was like 22, 23, and I couldn't be an athlete anymore. And and so I decided to go out for Team USA roller hockey, never playing on a roller hockey team in my life, like ever. I played on one like drop-in game once, and then just street hockey in the cul-de-sac. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Go to a tryout. I got ranked 17th. Only 14 make the team, but I had never played. I was like, okay, I'll train for a year. I'm going to go make this team. Trained for a year, made the team, went to Worlds. We got silver. Like, I was like, whoo, yes, like, that is a life accomplishment. Like, it still happened in one way, not exact way I wanted, but it still happened. And it felt very self-fulfilling. And like, I could validate myself, like, those 15 years of work. I was like, oh, okay, like, that was awesome. But then I was itching for more. And then I had a strength and conditioning coach from college tell me about another strength and conditioning coach that was actually at Kennesaw. And he's like, yeah, this guy's putting on a combine for bobsled skeleton, and they're looking for people that want to become Olympians. I was like, oh, that's me. Okay. And at this point, I didn't know what these sports were. I had no idea. I was vaguely familiar with Cool Runnings, but I had no idea. But I was now a little cocky, and I was like, yeah, man, I just did Team USA. I'm awesome. Like, this should be a breeze. Never wore wore track and field spikes once in my life in 8th grade, and I just ran, like, oh, there's a silly story. But essentially, I'm not a track and field athlete. I'm not an Olympic weightlifter. I had done powerlifting that year. I made Team USA roller hockey and competed and did really well in that, which was also like part of boosting my ego. Like, oh yeah, I am an athlete. I got this. But I had to do sprints, jumps, and throws, and Olympic clean, and maybe one other. I think it was just and a squat. And the only thing I knew how to do was squat. And I pulled it off to where I was acceptable, but nothing impressive. They're like, okay, yeah, you're athletic enough. You are too tiny for bobsled, which is like a huge, like, Napoleon complex I have. I was like, why am I always too tiny for everything? And like, but you're a great fit for skeleton. You're the same size as Katie Ulander, this now 4-time Olympian. And I was like, and a friend of mine, and I was like, who's this chick? And I look her up and I was like, yeah, I could do this. And total idiot. I'm an idiot for saying that. But at least I convinced myself I could do it and I could go out there. So I ended up quitting everything, moving to New York, Lake Placid, New York, upstate in the middle of nowhere, an hour and a half from Montreal. And I go to this camp, freezing cold. I forgot how much I hate the cold. And I'm like, okay, cool. I just got to be brave. I literally just got to be brave enough to go down that hill. Do it. I actually loved it. It was super scary, and painful, incredibly painful hitting walls because you're not good. And I wasn't good. And then I realized after I committed to it, how hard it is. And I was like, and how good everyone was. And that was very humbling for me. I was like, uh-oh. I told everyone back home I was going to be an Olympian in this. And my dumb self, like, just ignorantly went up here and was like, yeah, here I go. But I did enjoy it. And me being me, I was like, I committed. So now I'm going to give it at least 4 more years. And it was like around 5 years of training to make it to Olympic. I was like, make it to Olympic trials, see where you're at, see if you want to go. Ideally, 2022 would have been my goal because it really takes about 8 to 10 years of really skilled training, learning how to drive the sled. The athletic component of running and jumping on it can come pretty easy to some athletes if they had been training running and stuff. So that was easier for me. It still wasn't the best, but I put a lot of work into that. But the driving takes a lot of time because you don't have that. You can't do it on your own. You can't do it at home. You have to go to the track, 1 minute down. You can only go 2 or 3 times a day. Then you get sled head. So you only get to train like 3 minutes a day, a couple days a week. And it's like, you have to optimize that and do a lot of other mental training to become good at it. But that was how I got into it. Long story longer.
Well, it's a good story. It's a good detail because, I don't mind. And the reason why this, is a long form podcast or whatever is that I don't mind hearing the story because you hear the journey and this is what it's about. Because a lot of people see the thing that I really do appreciate about that story is that a lot of people hear about the success, but they never hear about the journey and the trials. Never. Usually it's just like, oh yeah, I was living in my car and now I'm a millionaire. You're like, yeah, but how did that happen? And then they'll tell you the success story, but they don't ever tell you like, oh man, you know what? It's been like 5 years and I was sleeping in my car for 5 years and then it took another year before, no one ever really tells you that. So I'm glad that you said that because your dream was to do ice hockey in the Olympics. And the amazing thing about that is that sometimes all of our dreams, they do fall apart with external circumstances that we can't control. Given your situation, even though we don't know what it is yet, but given your situation that you had to go ahead and you had to get your surgery and it postponed you from actually getting that dream, that's not something you can control. You needed the surgery. So now it's just like, oh shit, what do I do? But you did the right thing. I think that does come from what you are surrounding yourself with, because especially when you're on sports, a lot of people have the similar mentality of going ahead and getting a goal no matter what happens. And then you have a tough cookie mom that was just like, I'm putting up with it. And your dad always enforced commitment in you. So, you already had your building blocks there. Yeah. And so you get to see that you asked the right questions, even though you did get depressed at first, which is normal. I think everyone how do you say it? Vilifies, right? That's the word? Yeah. I think everyone vilifies the negative emotions in space, but that's human and normal. I think, and I said it with a couple of my previous guests, is that this law of attraction movement, I feel, has really dampered on like, oh, we can't feel our emotions and we end up suppressing them instead of feeling them and going through it. And that was great that you did that. Those are the right questions. You have to ask yourself, who am I really? What do I want to accomplish? And even your motivations. I'm really into Stoic philosophy right now because I love Buddhism, and Stoic philosophy is pretty similar into the, the middle way of living of things. and they ask themselves all the time. It's always reviewing oneself instead of the external circumstances. It really goes along with what I'm thinking. Is like, all right, how can I do this better? You know, did I handle that the best situation as possible, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a great thing that it shows that that is already instilled in you somewhat for your mindset to get to be an Olympian, to get to, you know, represent what you wanted. And then, if I'm not mistaken, your highest accomplishment in skeleton was bronze, right? Lake
Actually,
Placid? It said third.
I got a bronze medal in a North American Cup circuit, like an
Ah,
official competition in bobsled. And I had
no way.
even done bobsled, and I did it. I
That's
didn't
awesome.
even practice. I literally showed up and competed because I'll just say the little side story. Yeah, I always wanted to do bobsled just because it looked like fun. I wanted to try it while I was there. I was like, why not? I'm here. Why not? But everyone was like, you can't. You're literally too small to be in the back of a sled. It won't like you know. It's just we need more weight. And I was like, whatever. But someone broke her leg because of a bobsled crash. Again, this is a naivete. Like, if you ask me now, I'd be like, no. But then I'm just like, yeah, I want to do it. Someone's like, hey, this girl broke her leg. Do you want to fill in? We got to compete because we need 5 or 6 sleds to compete so we can get real points. And we need that number one girl, the girl to win, which they were predicting Brazil because all the times Brazil was winning. Like, if those 2 girls win, they get to go to Sochi Olympics, the 2014 Olympics, which would be great for their whole country, great for them. And it'd be like, you know, it'd break a lot of barriers. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. That's cool. Like, I want to go down in the bobsled and then plus helping people. Yeah, I'm in. So I ended up pushing and whatever the circumstance, we ended up winning bronze. And I have a picture of it somewhere. I have 0 USA gear on and I have like the most redneck looking like Timberland boots, like mismatched because I didn't even have winter clothes. I was coming up from Georgia and I'm just like finding layers. I was like, yeah, okay. I had no, just again, so naive, just jumping in. And I'm just on the podium like this. I look like a midget, like compared to everyone. And it was just funny. Like, it was just funny looking. And I loved every minute. And those Brazil girls even like will still thank me. And I was like, don't thank me. Like, I was just foolish enough, you know, like you did the work, you earned it, you did everything you needed to do to be successful on your journey. And it was just fun watching. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's
don't sell yourself short, though.
no,
Don't. No, seriously, because the deal
I'm
is,
pretty proud of myself for everything I've really worked for. That was a fun, exciting day that happened to me. Like, my highest
yeah, but they wouldn't go. You
yeah,
know, they wouldn't be able to go. No, it's serious because
yeah,
this is what I'm saying. Don't sell yourself short. And you know, I used to do that a lot myself. Is like, don't do that because without you, it does not happen because you never know if someone else filled that spot, if they would even get third. That's a
yeah,
probability that we don't know. Because what if the pusher, because you were a pusher and obviously you had training in powerlifting and stuff that helped you do that. Imagine someone that didn't have the strength that you did. Imagine someone tripping and falling on the ice, and then there you go. You just don't know. But the bronze and then the go was because of you, and it's the truth.
I'll let you say that. But yeah, my highest accomplishment in skeleton, um, like I have some PRs for my push, and I have a PRs for different downtimes for getting down the track. But I would say Olympic trials. I did not make the Olympics in for the 28 oh my god 2018 games. Um, but I got ranked pretty high and it was my highest ranking. Only 2 girls go to the Olympics. And I was like middle of the pack, but it was my highest ranking, my best downtime, some of my best pushes. I finally like had some equipment that was working well for me. And I at that point knew I was retiring at the end of that trials. I was like, and that's a whole other section we could talk about, but incredibly proud of how far I came within one, we call them quads of Olympics. And from coming in right around the Sochi Olympics and then seeing where I came from, ended up for 2018, I was like really proud of myself. and kind of stuck it to a couple people that told me I couldn't. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm happy. But yeah.
I'm going to touch up on what you said earlier. So I like how you said that before you weren't aware of certain things that you're aware of now. And obviously the like, again, another controversial topic, but it's true. Scientifically, the physiology of a male and a female is just way different. But that doesn't necessarily mean that certain things can't be broken, societal wise. Like, oh, you're too short. Oh, you're this or you're that. Because there's a female. I don't know if you know, because you did powerlifting, but there's a powerlifting champion, Jen Thompson. She
Yeah.
absolutely incredible, breaking records, killing men, doing the powerlifting in the competitions. Now, to be fair, it's definitely on a percentage of your weight. So obviously she's lifting more according to her weight.
Right.
But if you just do it to weight versus weight,
Yeah.
obviously the bigger guys, are going to push
Right.
more. But regardless, that's why I think it's fair, much more fair, that it's about your actual power level, your actual percentage level. And she's killing it. She's breaking all sorts of things. And she has a segment right now too on Instagram saying all the stuff that people said that she
Mhm.
was doing wrong
Yeah.
and where she's at. So for your story to wrap it together, is that it's great to hear that, oh, you're female. One, you're not supposed to be playing with boys. Two, here it is that you're too short. It's amazing to see that, because most people would be
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right, I am too small, or yeah, you're right, I am a female, I
Right.
shouldn't be playing with boys. It would get into people's heads. And for you, where do you think that trigger, because that you said it, for you it's a trigger of, hey, if someone tells me I'm not doing it, I'm doing it. Like, where did that come from? Do you think you inherit that from your mom, or do you think it was more so of like your teammates that you were always around?
It's a good question. Think um I think it's more of me being one of the younger children. Like my twin and I are the babies of the family. And I just didn't like missing out on things and I didn't like not getting to participate. Um, but my twin is totally opposite, like from me. Like she's not an athlete. She doesn't like to compete. She's very passive, very introvert. Um, we're best friend. Like, she's amazing. Best friend. She's super talented in her own world and everything she's done. But I think that's just something that's more born nature versus nurture, but still being the youngest, there were things that nurtured it, but I think I was just essentially born with, hey man, I want to do it. Like I want to try this. And I think going through my career of sports and stunts and everything, it's more of just in the beginning, yes, I want to participate. Hey, I want to do this. Two, I was naive in a lot of things, like, and I just went for it. But three, yeah, I do want to like show people, hey, you told me I can't, I want to do it. But looking back now, I know a lot of things I was chasing were titles. Like I want to be the best. I want the gold medal. I want to be called Olympian. I want these titles. And I actually had to go through a lot. And it was at near the end of Skeleton, and I was reading a lot of stuff. I had read like 10 mental toughness books. I think I bought 8 in a row, and I read them over a course of a year because I was like, I need to be focused. I need to be mentally tough. Like that's going to be my advantage. And I still totally abide by that. But I started to realize like why I was so unhappy the last few years of Skeleton. I was like, man, I hate, like, why am I so unhappy? And so many things were going wrong. And like my whole life, I fought external situations, internal physical situations, internal mental situations. My surgery, I was born premature, and I was born with respiratory issues and asthma, and I was getting bronchitis and pneumonia all winter, and in Michigan, not so much, in a little bit in Georgia, but not so much. Then allergies in Georgia, and then I needed an emergency surgery basically because I was born premature and I was going through puberty and like things weren't functioning, and they just needed to fix me, and I could have actually died. I was like hours away from death for that surgery, and I ended up needing surgery again, and yeah, I was like, why am I this messed up? Like, why? I'm supposed to be this freak athlete. I'm supposed to be genetically perfect because that's what I want. Like, what is going on? Why do I have all these challenges? And um, yeah, after all that and like being at the last few years of skeleton, I was like, why is this not working? Like, I'm mentally tough. I'm doing all the extra work. My times are great. But why can't I get the money? Like, why am I broke? Like, why are these rich kids doing this? And, or many other things. That is not the only thing. But I realized I was not happy because I wasn't passionate about it. I just wanted the title. I was like, I just want to be an Olympian. And yeah, skeleton's super cool and the sport's fun, but I was not loving it. I wasn't loving every minute. I wasn't loving the journey. I just wanted the end. I just wanted to be the Olympian. And because I wanted that end, and then I realized, like in Buddhism, I wasn't happy with the moment. I was trying to hold on to things I shouldn't hold on to. And I was trying to control things I can't control. And I wasn't taking full control of myself and my life in certain ways, like of just being happy. And so I knew I wanted to end it on Olympic trials, but I was going to have a blast doing it and I was going to make the best show out of it. And I did. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of my accomplishments was because I wanted to prove people wrong. I wanted to do my best, but I was also really happy just playing, like playing sports, playing outside, playing things. But once it wasn't like creative and fun anymore, and a lot of other external things, whether it was my own physical abilities, it was money, coaching, politics, cheating, like things I've witnessed. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm good. Like, this isn't for me anymore. So I think people need to realize like why they're chasing things. Like, do you really love doing this? Do you love this journey? Do you love doing this every day? Or are you going to chase something because if you think like once I get there, is that going to make me happy? Like once I have that title, am I going to be happy? Truth is probably not. Like, like so and what I realize now is whatever I'm doing, I got to make sure I'm happy. And if I'm not happy in a few years doing what I'm doing, it's okay to try new things. Like it's okay to
Yeah.
be like, go in other areas. But
Yeah.
mental toughness and mental um, knowing who you are and why you're doing things is important. I
Yeah,
think.
I agree with that. I agree. The thing is that the thing about titles, everything about goals, feels good. It's a natural response because the caveman brain that never evolved with us. It's always a survival mechanism. You need to get more to survive, which is true in a sense, but it doesn't serve us now as much as it used to. Obviously, you need your basics to survive. You need your money, your housing, etc. But for titles, it's mostly on, like you said, what you want truly. And then on top of that, this is where it gets complex, is that what is it that is really holding you back from obtaining such things? Is it really a fear? Is it a trauma? Is it something, that your mom said? There's a whole bunch of complexities on that subject, but the number one question that you should ask yourself always is, it's not, am I good at this? Is this what I want to do? Is that, am I happy? Does this bring me joy?
Yeah.
Because eventually, when all the hardships of life comes into play, eventually your love is going to be that anchor. Your love
Mm-hmm.
is going to be that anchor. Is, oh my God, this is troubling me. Can you go through the fire because you
Yeah.
love it so much? If their love is not there, if it's just for money, if it's just for fame, if it's just for anything, and it's not at the core of your being, it's just gonna go away. It's so funny that uh, I said this with Master Robertson on the podcast, but is actually that Ryan said this to me a long time ago. He said that a tree with strong roots never falls down when the wind blows, but a tree with weak roots, as soon as the wind blows, it falls down. And that was just, we were talking about obviously martial arts and stances, but it's also in mentality as well. If it's not who you are, if it's not rooted in you, if it's not your core, that as soon as that external circumstances like the wind comes, it's going to knock you down. So that's what. So I'm very glad that you said that, because a lot of people do need to know that.
for me, I was never afraid of success, and I was chasing titles and at certain points, and it wasn't always me loving what I'm doing. My fear was, I had fears of not being good enough. And once I realized that it was really all in my head and myself, like, nah, you are good enough. You're good enough at the sport. You're good enough at being a human being here. I was always afraid of not being accepted. And I don't know if that's because I was bullied a lot. Like, I was really bullied a lot. So I feel like maybe there was this thing in me where it's like, I need to accomplish something so I can prove to people like, hey, I'm good enough. And then as I got older and I'm reading more and I'm like, nah, I'm awesome. Like, I'm a great person.
Yeah.
Like, I love myself, you know, I'm not cocky. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not, you know, I'm a human being, and I'm validated to be here. And once I could let myself know that, and then I could really think about, okay, what do I have other fears? What are my other fears I should make sure? Because I'm a trainer too, and when I've noticed when I've trained some clients, some of my I currently have a client that's afraid of his success in his weight loss journey. He's afraid of being a totally different person, even though that's who he wants to be. And so that's another thing I just want to point out, because I don't want people to make excuses like, nah, I don't actually want to be fit. Nah, I'm just looking at social media too much. But really, that could be true, or it could be, no, I really want to be fit and I want to be able to play with my kids, and like, it's not about having six pack. I just don't want to be hundreds of pounds overweight and feeling tired when I go up the stairs. And you know, I put in 6 months of work and I'm starting to get huge success, and now I'm like having this stall, and it's like, hey, I know that, like, you're self-sabotaging yourself, which I've done myself in other areas of life. Not, you know, we all have our journeys and our own battles and our own, you know, like, this whole thing is about mental toughness, mental awareness, mental strength. So I just want to point that out to make sure people listening to this are really honest with themselves. Like, what do you
Of
really
course.
want? What do you really love? What are you
Hmm.
really afraid of?
Hmm.
And come to your own truths and make
Absolutely.
face those fears, because the journey is great if you're loving what you're doing, but the journey is also great when you realize you're accomplishing a fear, like something you don't think you can do and you're doing it. And I just want to make sure, because I didn't reach one of my a title, I feel very accomplished and happy, because I realized I did accomplish. I loved the journey. I went through a journey. I accomplished some fears. I learned things about myself. And now I'm doing more things I love, and I'm so happy. And that's what life's about, right? You know, we don't
Yeah.
know when it's over. So like, you need to enjoy everything.
That client that you have, so a lot of, like, because I study psychology too, so it's like a lot of that is your identity. It's just like you're afraid of the unknown. Who am I going to become? And that's a scary thought, because you don't know. Us human beings, we have to know everything. That's why we're not smashing on anyone's beliefs, but that's why we place deities back in the day. Oh, this is sun god, is this, because we had to explain things, because there's always a fear of an unknown, like, oh, we don't know what the hell that is. And that plays a big part in people's identities. If you're the fat kid all the time, in your head you're the fat kid. Even if you
Right.
were buff and fit, if you don't let go of that identity,
Yep.
you're still the fat kid. Then all of a sudden you have, the whole body dysmorphia of, like, no matter how fit I get, no matter how big, you can be a bodybuilder, it's like, I'm still the fat kid. But yeah, I totally agree. The whole thing about that journey, though, is about principles and values, honestly. And what I mean is because, similar to your stuff, my whole thing with the psoriasis, the flare up, I was qualifying. I had one show to go to qualify for pro bodybuilding,
Yeah.
and that hit me. And then I had my second wave of it, was worse than the first due to my own choices. But I thought the first wave cracked me open, and it did, but I feel like it really didn't stick. I feel like as soon as I got better, my ego came back really quick, and it was just like, oh, Danny Vega, whatever. And the second one really did it for me. The second one, and especially because not only was I going through that, it was the pandemic on top of that. So I was going through that second wave through the pandemic. So I really had a lot of time to sit with myself and really analyze and really study and be like, what is it that I really want and where am I placing my values? And a lot of things that psychology explains is that some people, not all, but when you feel your values based on your accomplishments, is that's what you got this for when you were young. So basically, for who you were, no one cared. Either you got bullied or you were pushed to the side, just you couldn't be you. But all of a sudden, as soon as you got the medal or something, it's like, oh, I'm proud of you. And you're like, wait,
Exactly.
this is how I get validation?
Yeah.
Wait, this is how people love me? Oh, wait, so I have to do things and get these things and accomplish these things for people to love me, because without it, I'm nothing, which is further from the truth, because as you got older in your journey, and me too as well, and through our challenges and our journeys, you realize it really is on your character. It's who you become as a person, your principles and values. How do you become a person of value? Person of value is just how you can be the best version of yourself and then give yourself to others and wanting nothing in return. And that's hard for a lot of people. People say they're givers, but they're expecting something in return sometimes on the underlying in the background.
I reread, but I read a few years ago something exactly what you just said about that. But it was also called that's how you become a full adult and so many people don't reach that. They're still in childhood or at like adolescent. It's like baby, adolescent, adult, and they're still in this adolescent where it's like an exchange. Okay, I give you something, you give me something, and like, okay, I put in the work, you give me a medal and give me congrats, or I buy you a gift, you have to buy, like, and it's this thing, not a let me just give you something and I don't want anything. And
It's
actually
total unawareness.
true forms of love too, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that was really well put. Of even what I went through, yeah, with my sporting journey as an adolescent and into adult, figuring things out. But yeah, it's crazy. People, it's funny even being on these podcasts and stuff, because I'm humbled and I'm honored and I'm flattered and I love it and I don't mind talking, as you can see. But I'm human. Like, I go through so many battles every day. I still go through battles. And since childhood, like, I got physically bullied for being small, and I got physically bullied and verbally bullied when I had a boy haircut and I did boy things, and called names and things, and it was very hurtful and very confusing as a child. And in that as great as my parents were, in department, I had nobody helping me feel good about myself, and people just saw me as a happy girl. Like, I'm always smiling on the inside, or on the outside, but on the inside I'm like, help me, like. And
Like the fly, help me.
yeah, and I always thought, like, okay, and I liked being the comedian a lot and acting and performing too, because seeing people laugh made me feel good. And then also playing hockey, people cheering for me made me feel good. So I was like, okay. And I got bullied more since I was 9 years old. I ended up I have an OCD and another mental disorder. It's called Trichtomania, but everyone just calls it trick. It's a hair pulling compulsive disorder. It's in the same family as Tourette's, which
Oh,
Danny will
yeah.
laugh.
Yep.
um,
That's funny.
yes.
You two were meant for each other.
No, right.
In a lot of things.
But since I was 9, like, I also was ADHD. Like, I had a hard time sitting still, but and I've always been a very sensitive person, and I don't like hurting people, and I don't like getting hurt. And I was always friends with the kid that didn't speak English or didn't have friends, and I'd always sit with, I always go and rescue the dog. Like that was just me always. And um I don't I don't know if it was from getting bullied exactly, but I started compulsively pulling my eyelashes and eyebrows out, mostly eyelashes as a kid. Um, and I'd go through waves, but as a kid they grow back super fast, and um, I always had like my little bangs. I thought I could hide it, and then
That's
high
brutal
school,
though.
yeah.
That that's like a form of torture, man. You're torturing yourself for real.
No, I really
That's insane.
it,
Eyelashes?
yeah, like
Ah.
it's millions of people do this too, but everybody hides it because it's this is where you psychologically mess with yourself. Is um you're doing it, you get this OCD, this Tourette's, trick thing, but then now you look in the mirror and you're ashamed and you're like, oh, I'm ugly, I'm a freak, I'm a weirdo, and no and I'm attracted to men, and I'm like, no men will like me, no boys will like me, my crushes won't like me. And so I was already getting bullied, and now I'm bullying myself, which is like, why? But I
Well,
was.
I understand that though because I was bullied, growing up as well. So, there's a lot of things that, we did trying to, how do you say, soothe ourselves, but it ends up hurting us worse.
Yeah.
And no, it's true.
Yes,
But eventually we had to, some people never get to that space, which hopefully, like I said, this is what the podcast is for and stuff. Hopefully, and eventually we get to a space of how to properly express ourselves,
yeah,
in certain ways. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, I still struggle with it, but now it's more of, I know more things about it, so it's not really a huge deal. But because I was such, like, I don't want to be too mean on myself on this, even though I'd be joking, but it was so intense for so long. I have scars in certain areas, and it took me a long time, like maybe to like age 30, 29, 30, to be like, it doesn't matter, whoever's gonna love me is gonna love me, and I can love me just like this. It's really it really doesn't matter, like. And um so really, and I'm almost like 34 now, so it hasn't been that long, but um that was another fear of mine. I had a fear of being accepted again, a fear of people seeing the true me. And so actually a part of me that loved sports, and I chose more sports than acting directly, like right away, was because sports, I could wear a mask. I literally was wearing masks. So I felt like people would only see my performance and they wouldn't see anything I'm trying to hide. And now I'm into stunts and acting. And I realized, I was like, in makeup trailers, I was like, uh-oh, I still have this fear. And I have this fear of everyone calling me names and me being a weirdo. And then that's when I was like, okay, you still have a fear. How do we get over it? But yeah, a lot of my things I wasn't fully aware of. But once I'm aware of it, it's like, all right, how do we tackle this? How do we defeat it? So I just wanted to point that out because yeah, that was a huge mental battle, and that's still something I'll still have to like deal with, throughout my life, probably. I don't know, but we'll
Well,
see.
we get into this space, I think. For me on the other hand, the reason why I consider a lot of my mentors family, and which drives my mom nuts, by the way, because it really does. Because my mom did sacrifice a lot for us and stuff like that, and unfortunately, her unawareness and the way she grew up really did hamper on me and my brother. My brother has issues, and I had issues because, I constantly work on myself, but that's only because of Ryan and everybody else growing up, because I wasn't not only accepted in school, I was never accepted at home for me.
Mm,
So, and what I mean is that my mom was, when she was always working and stuff like that, sometimes we had to stay with family. So
mm,
I always heard like, I'm too hyper. I can't have sugar because of this. That you can't have these things. You can't do these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with you? Yada yada. And so when you constantly hear that, and then when the little bit of time we did have with my mom, the not so nice ones, is that, oh, you're just like your dad. And even though her and my father split, and she made him at the time like the worst person in the world. You hear that, so it's just like, oh shoot, I'm no good. So when you constantly get that, and then you find mentors like Ryan and Rodney and everybody else, you're like, oh wait, someone accepts me for who I am.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard because you get into the space of like, okay, 10% of my day I hear I'm good. 90% of my day I hear I'm trash. So I think for us that have those traumas, like this is the point of the story I'm getting to, that because we have these traumas, et cetera, it takes longer. I think it does. But as long as we put continuous effort. So do I think it would last forever? I don't think so. Like, I know in science they say that 50% of your brain is not malleable and the other 50 is. So it's like, oh well, 50% you can never change. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like the mind is very
Yeah.
no, the mind is very elusive thing. And what I mean is that the mind has done stuff that science is just like, what the hell just happened? That's just me and my personal belief. Obviously, it is recorded on there, so it is proven. So for me, I think like for you saying that you don't know if it'll last, I don't think so, because I see that you're continuously practicing, which is going to bring me to my next thing. So, what have you done uh, as a routine to help you with that mindset? Has it changed over the years, or has it stayed the same and improved? So, like, what's the difference between when you first started your mental journey, basically, of getting better till now? Because obviously, that journey has brought you into acting and stunts, which we'll touch up on in a little bit. But yeah, so explain that. You have a daily routine or not?
Well, I'll say anything under age 18, it was the normal kid routine. And I chose not to party. I never partied, never. I was a dork and I just played hockey and I did theater too, but like just did my things and I was trying to be good at it. But I never thought I was better than anyone or like, oh, I can't, like, part of me wanted to go hang out with the kids and party, but part of me was like, this is the only thing I'm good at. Like, I can't give this up. So, whatever, that worked out. But my routine was just doing my thing. I didn't have any really contacts. I didn't have any mentorship. I had probably two coaches ever that I would be like, thank you, because you really helped me still believe in myself when it became hard as a hockey player under age 18. But after, and then once I stopped playing D1 and I went through those like 4 years of, am I good at anything? I realized a trigger was being told I couldn't do it and I wanted to prove them wrong. But probably from, you know, I guess, I guess we'll start with my skeleton journey when I was more of age 25 and really trying to pay attention and realize I'm on my own on this. Like, I have to figure this out and I can't just sign up and go to practice and be seen and then play. Like, I'm like, not that that was the full case, but I'm trying to simplify it. But I I started researching first physically what the sport was and what I needed to do and how I could write my program. So I was trying to get me physically set on how I'm going to physically train. And then I realized um, there'd be a lot of girls, like, and we're all competing against each other. Like Team USA, you're all competing for the same spot. So I realized, oh, I've never done a sport where there's no teammates. Like, oh God, what is that? And so then I realized I started researching and talking to my friends. This research was talking to friends that did track and field, that did single sports, and realized, I have a friend that is an Olympic gold medalist track and field athlete. So I was like, I actually lucked out in having someone to message and okay, I didn't actually luck out. I went and found that person and made friends with them on Instagram. So that's the whole
Well,
other
that's no,
thing.
no, no, no,
I shouldn't
no.
admit
You're on the right track.
yeah,
I feel like you're on the right track. But
yeah.
for me, like that is going into the mental side of things. But like, what was your routine mentally?
Mentally then, so I had that. I wake up, I would um think about just laying in bed. Okay, what do I have to do today? Okay, what are things that are actually going to be in my way of doing it? Like if it's physical, like, oh, it's running and it's raining. Okay, I'm going to wear a jacket. Okay, today I have to slide, but I'm going down the hill and I have to deal with like these three, like, jerks that are always messing with me. Okay, I'm going to put on headphones. And so I make sure I plan the day out. And then in the motion of when I'm at the track, I have mental preparation. And it's I warm up by myself away from everyone, and I would listen to certain music. I would do certain breathing techniques, then go through my physical routine. Then I would mentally envision myself going down the track perfectly, lines. And I'm talking, you're going down 70 to 80, 90 miles per hour in under a minute, and you have certain turns. And like when you're like, everything is a hair. Like that little move, I'm like little spaz move, that's me going 80 miles per hour and hitting the right angle right before you hit the apex of a curve to get the right angle in, right angle out. So I just would, and I would also time it to see if I'm mentally going at the time that I'd really be going down the track. So I would do that. And overall, try and be thinking positive, have positive quotes around me. But at the end of the night, I realized I had to um, think something positive before I went to bed as well, and not feel defeated if I felt like I had a really crappy day at the track, or which happened a lot. So, or I'm literally just covered in bruises. I'd be like, okay, so that's when I started reading books on mental toughness. And I realized, like, there's one like Mind Gym, The Way of the Seal, um, things. Oh, man, I had a lot of them. Giving them out to people the ones I liked. I was like, you need to read this, but those helped me. But I started to not like it because I was like, okay, this is just people telling me what to do and how to think. And so after a while, I was like, okay, I need something else. Although The Way of the Seal I did like because it gave a lot of antidotes, like a lot of stories of people, which that's what I liked. I was like, oh, stories of other people's success resonate with me. So reading like even Lance Armstrong's of Not About the Bike, even I know that's controversial, but like he still had a journey and accomplished amazing things. Talking to my friends and reading about their journeys and their things. Like one of my best friends before he passed away, he wrote a book. Steve Holcomb wrote a book, an Olympic bobsledder, about I'm blanking on the thing. I can't believe it. He has a book, Steve Holcomb, but it was about his journey, and he went blind as an Olympic bobsledder right before one of the Olympics, blind and driving blind, and he had to take this like never before done experimental surgery, and he was able to see. And he literally then weeks later went and won the Olympic gold medal and took USA out of this Olympic gold medal drought from 70 years or something crazy. And
That's awesome.
I realized like, wow, I never had mentors. And like you brought up mentors, and I was like, okay, maybe I can't physically have a mentor by my side every day, but I can read about all these people and have them as my mentors. And now there's internet and YouTube, and now I can listen to people and listen to interviews, and I do that all the time now, and I'm not even an athlete. I love it, and I realize like, wow, okay, the more I can connect with people's stories, I can connect with myself and my journey and what I want to do. So essentially, like, this podcast is the epitome of what I love. Like, I love this stuff. And yeah, that was more of my routine, beginning the day on a positive note, ending the day on a positive note, having my little routine before I slide of breathing, music, envisioning what exactly I want to do and be successful at. Because if I envisioned me hitting that turn, you betcha I'm going to hit that wall, like, because I was envisioning it as well. And I'm literally like probably like subconsciously and then physically, like my eyes are going to look there, and where you look is where you're going to go, physically
Yep.
and metaphorically. So once that was really concrete in my mind, I was getting much better at the sport.
I was grateful that you started listing books off, because I was going to say, what are your top 5 books that you would recommend to anybody to, grow their mindset? So just really quick top 5 before I, continue.
Top 5? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say Um, read Steve Holcomb's book. It's something about, like, you can't see. Let me look it up. But Steve Holcomb's book. I also love. It's a quick read, and it might seem silly, but The Alchemist, a
It's a
quick,
great
easy
book.
hero's journey. That's very relatable. Um, and don't look too deeply into it. Just read it and enjoy it. And then I would say either The Way of the Seal, I really enjoyed for mental toughness. Let's just go with those top three, and maybe I can provide you some more later, because
Top three.
I
That's fine.
actually, in the room, I'm literally trying to envision the bookcase in that room across from me. I'm like, what do I have over there? I was like, wait. But yeah, I would actually encourage looking for stories, or like something of a story. And if it's a sport you like, go ahead, find someone in that sport. But it really doesn't matter. Like, it's, yeah, I would encourage that
Yeah,
journey to someone else.
there are a lot of people that have told me that as well. To go ahead and look up like people that you admire, but their books as well, because sometimes on an interview they don't give you like the whole spiel. Like if you read books like on the Steve Jobs books, I heard was absolutely phenomenal. You know, and even despite whether you believe in his views or not, it's still an incredible story and journey. So autobiographies, I would agree with you on. Like, just go ahead and like look up anybody who's in either your field or someone that you look up to do that. What would you say is the change now since you're not competing like that? What is the change now in your mental routine? Like, so what is it now?
Great question. I would say, actually, right after I finished Skeleton, I was able to get into stunts. Not every day, not something consistently, but something to be like, wow, okay, I can do this. And that actually kind of, maybe in a certain way, not regretting it at all, might have hindered me, because I'm so used to people telling me I can't. But then when someone instantly was like, yeah, you could do this, I was like, wait, what? Like, uh-oh. And I would train every day. I'd be like, okay, I can train. I can go learn new skills. I can do this. So my physical stuff was pretty set, or I thought so. But mentally, I struggled for a while, because I was like, what's the challenge part? And I realized, like, okay, let's just set a challenge of a type of movie you want to be in, or a type of role, or a physical stunt you want to do. And so I wrote those out, and I had them, and I've accomplished some of them. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I realized I need more pressure. And recently I just had someone tell me I couldn't do something, and that kind of helped me get motivated to get to this other thing I just told myself I wanted to do. But every day I'm enjoying being creative, and I read, I write, I act, I perform, I do stunts, I train. So even if I'm not working and getting paychecks, I'm doing those four things every day. And I take master classes online. I have a couple of books right now I'm reading. Oh, I am reading The Art of War right now, and I'm also reading this other, like, book written in 1900. It's not about mental anything, just a story. But um, I'd say mentally now I have to know. I would. I have to tell myself more about the baby steps of every day of enjoying the journey, because I'm on this brand new journey, and I had just spent decades, 2 decades of playing sports, being an athlete, and I don't really identify myself as that at all anymore. I'm super proud and grateful for all of it. It's just today in 2021, I'm not an athlete. I might do athletic things, but I'm not an athlete. So I have to be okay with, okay, you're like, I joke around with the stunt part. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm on the freshman team anymore. I think I'm more JV, but I'm not varsity. I'm not like starting line captain of the team. I'm, again, using sports as a way to understand certain things, and make sense of things for me. I'm like, okay, I'm JV. I still got a long way to go. I still got some years to put in to get to this level of being, and more of the essence of not the title. It's more of, okay, to the point of where I'm working every day in what I want to do. Not the money, not the fame, not the title. It's, okay, I gotta literally get better at these skills. I gotta be better actor. I gotta be a better writer. I gotta be a better performer. So every day is just putting in those things and feeling and telling myself like, good, you did those steps. You are getting better. And now it's been about a year of doing all of those consistently, a little bit each day, about a year and a half. And now I have footage, I have writing of stuff I did a year and a half ago. And recently I've looked over it and I'm like, wow, yeah, you did get a lot better. Not like, I'm not being hard on myself. I'm just like, wow, you have improved. So I think for me, starting something brand new and not being like, I always did it. I've always been an athlete. Like I did it since I was a kid. It's like something brand new is about the baby steps and constantly my positive encouragement on myself. Like, yeah, you're getting better. You're doing it. And I think that's a lot of people facing their fears and getting like, okay, I'm going to start this. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start, or I'm too scared to start, but I'm going to take that step and just realize little bit each time, chip away a little bit each time. And in time you'll be like, whoa, okay, that really happened. And you can impress yourself at any age, anytime, doesn't matter, you know, and that too, because we're always told you're too old for so many things. And that's another thing. No, you're not. You can literally do what you want, very likely, at any age, anytime, if you put in what you need to put in.
Yeah, I agree on that. Um, it's all about the journey, but I know that's cliche to say, but I think it's because no one actually counts their small wins. I think there's a stigma of self cheerleading. There's very a stigma. There's a stigma of self cheerleading. It's like, oh, well, that person's cocky, or they're full of themselves, yada yada, and so nobody wants to do it. Well, in this day and age, before, people from the past, they knew the value in that, because no one is going to be a bigger cheerleader than yourself. And then on top of that, you're the only one that's with you 24/7. It's cool that your mom is your cheerleader. It's cool that your dad is, or anybody else. But once you're home alone and you turn off those lights, it's just you and you. And that's it. Despite if you have your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever in bed, does not matter, because those are your thoughts and you're there.
Yeah.
So I really do think that's a big thing that we need to start doing more. I do think that self cheerleading is one of them, and two is that small wins. The thing that I loved, and I mentioned this also in a previous episode, is that the thing that I actually appreciate more now, so that I'm on this journey and away from it, that I'm not completely in it, I do appreciate the belts in martial arts. And the reason being is because, despite back in the day when you trained, you knew someone trained because their white belt would turn black, because no matter how much you wash it, it was just stained. But when you have those belt systems, and if you're a school that's not in it for the money, it really is your small wins, because the number one goal is never really to become yellow belt. It's to become black belt. You know what I mean? That's the first big goal, that big mountain, that big journey. And each belt is a victory, a pat on the back that's like, you're one step closer to your goal. You're a next step closer to your goal. So I really do appreciate that now more so than ever. And I think that we need to find a way to do that. We need to find a way to give ourselves the small victories. Like, you know what, man, that's awesome. I'm going to give my pat on the back. I think that's amazing. I'm going to give myself a small gift, and then just keep trucking along, because that reward system is what really keeps you going. It really does, because there are sometimes I feel like when people get out into the burnout stage is because you're not seeing anything come out of it. It's really hard when something is a long journey and you don't see anything coming out of it. And that's why most people quit. And I think that analogy of when they're like, when they show the picture of the person that was right there of hitting that goal, but they quit, is because there's no victories. There's nothing to show for it. So you're like, why am I going to keep going? Is that even there? I don't know. But if you have something, if you give yourself something, like, you know what, that's awesome. I can see myself, like, mentally. I can see myself getting there. Just got to keep trucking. It's like, you know what? I did better than yesterday. When you become the best version of yourself doing that, I think there's no way that you're not going to hit your goal. But I do feel that it shouldn't be the goal itself. I really do feel like it should be not that I get to do this thing, to do something. I think we should get to a space of being. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just me. And the state of being as in, you know what? I am better than yesterday, and that's good enough for me.
Yep.
I'm better than yesterday, and that's good enough to me. Because if I do my best and I push past my best each day,
Yep.
eventually, whether you hit it or not, you're gonna be fulfilled
Mm-hmm.
because you are the best version of you, regardless of said goal.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think also something I've encouraged in the fitness world, in which I kind of said it ago about my year and a half of this new journey. The fact, and I didn't actually purposely do it really, but the fact I took some auditions on camera myself, I didn't submit it. It was just for class, and that's now a video recording saved on my computer. In fact, I wrote some sketches, didn't do anything with them, but I just put them in my journal. That's written, documented. And then the fact I've, you know, done some stunts and been on TV and done some things, and I have video recordings of my training and of that, I can now look back. So like on my days where I'm like, am I getting anywhere? Like this feels like forever, or like I'm climbing the stairs, but it might seem foggy that day where I'm like, dude, and I'm not enjoying where I'm at. I can then be like, okay, look back and be like, yo, I just went up 100 stairs. Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good. Be happy where I'm at. And then know, like, it's just foggy today, but I'm going to get through. It'll clear up. The sun will come out. Like, I think that's important. And I encourage when I do fitness, I encourage all my clients to take pictures, do measurements, even if they don't want to send it to me. I'm like, please, please, please do this for yourself, because in a month, you're going to have a bad day. In 6 months, you're going to feel really exhausted, and you're going to forget where you came from. And I encourage, like, you know, I have other stuff like weekly weigh-ins, and I do monthly like measurements and stuff. I do things to help them track their progress for those bad days where they forget how much they worked on themselves. And but yeah, I think it's ultimately important to be happy in the present and in your journey, like you've said, and we've been saying, like, be happy. But when you're not happy in the present, look at what you've worked on so you can keep going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna add to that. Just make sure that don't suppress the feeling. Feel it.
Yeah.
You know, let it go. Reflect, like you said. And then if you need a rest, rest. You know, there's no shame in that. If you have to take a day off, take a day off. But it's not, hey, let's take 3 years off. You know, like let's not just sit in it.
Yeah.
It's always when in a time of reflection is always with action, like you were saying. We always have to put action towards the next thing. Now, since you have more wisdom, how important is it to surround yourself with like-minded beings, especially your boyfriend, who I've known for a very, very long time? And how is that detrimental if you don't have those people around you?
Personally, I've actually spent a lot of time alone. Like, I've been single for a long time. So I feel very independent. I feel like I can handle a lot of things on my own. But looking back, I'm like, wow, you actually had a lot of times when you were alone, you weren't doing well. And it was a friend or something I saw. It was a human being doing something, whether in front of me or reading or on TV, that did something where I was like, you're right. I'm not in the best headspace. Like, I can do this. I can get out of this, or whatever it was. And it really wasn't until like this past maybe couple years. I mean, skeleton, I did really well, but I couldn't control everyone I was around. Now I'm just in a place where I can control it more. Um, it's incredibly important because, again, I'm on this journey. I'm going up these stairs. I might be enjoying it. It might be like I'm loving writing, acting, stunts. I love all this. But when I have those bad days and it's foggy and I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, it is so much more fun and better when you just have someone around you also going through it, or also on a journey similar, or totally opposite, and also being positive. Like, everything just makes it way more enjoyable and fun. And yeah, I like really small circles too. Like I don't need 100 people, and I don't actually post that much more on social media. I do, like, it's important. Like there's, again, you said the word in the very beginning of this podcast, balance. Like there's a balance for everything, but I don't need validation necessarily for people telling me I'm doing good or you got this, but it's more of a seeing other people going through it and doing it, and I'm like, okay, like you can do it, I can do it. Like that works well for me. um so yeah, I think I'm very happy with the few people I've selected in my circle, and a few people that have come into my life, um at the right times, even if it's a temporary thing. Like this person's in my life for a couple weeks, it's my teacher for this, and for acting, and I love this. And like being aware of, like, this is a good person right now in my life, this one might, I might need, push, just being very aware of who's in there, and not feeling overwhelmed with too many people is, yeah, uh makes life much more enjoyable when you have those positive vibes around you.
And besides positive vibes, I mean, it's proven that you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, like the
Yeah.
people that you surround yourself with.
Yes, agreed.
So I feel personally for me is that I don't need to go backwards. I don't need to regress. There are plenty of people in my life that I still absolutely love, but it's kind of like we don't spend as much time together. And it's because it's like I love you to death, but around you is draining. I don't want to hear 24/7 how your life is awful. You know,
Exactly.
I'm that person now, which is funny because before I used to be like that, but I'm that person now that's like, okay, tell me one good thing. Like if someone's on this rant on this roll, I'm like, so what's good about your day? Tell me
Yeah.
one good thing. There has to be one good thing. Like let's just talk about that. So for me personally, I think that if I have too many negative people around me, I'm over it. I'm like, nope. And then also people, I do work, I travel, and like you said, sometimes we can't control people that are on our teams or whatever. But it's like, if people don't have like-minded interest in me, I don't participate. So it's like, hey, let's go out and drink. I'm like, I don't drink anymore, and I don't like to party. I have certain goals I want to hit. Not gonna do it, you know. And there's nothing bad with it. I'm not saying that partying or anything's bad. It's just that that's not where my head is. My head is here. Now, the people that have these conversations like I do, that are like-minded and stuff like that want to go here, then that's where I'm at. So I think that's very important. All right, so to wrap up, so Megan, what's next for you? Are you thinking that you would ever try to go back to being an Olympic athlete, whether it's trying out again for, because I see you now, you're back on skates. I saw your social media, you're back on skates. And you're like, yeah, I love this. And you're looking like a complete badass on there. They always say, like, once an athlete, always an athlete. And that just, like, never leaves you. That's why, like, Michael Jordan came out of retirement, like, 50 times. I'm over-exaggerating, but obviously. Do you think you would come out of retirement just to go back into the Olympics or not? Or do you have other plans? Like, what is next for Megan?
Thank you for asking. I'm pretty sure I'll never go back to any sport to try and be an Olympian. I just kind of like when you meet a celebrity and they're a total, like, your favorite person growing up, your hero, and then they're a total bad, negative person. Like, I don't want to say bad. I'm trying not to say bad words, but
Oh, it's okay. You can say it on the podcast. It's fine.
okay. I was like, dude, you're just fucking crushed. You're like, that's what happened to me in the Olympic movement. And if you watch like a film called like Icarus, I think it might still be on Netflix. There's a couple of movies, like even I, Tanya and stuff. That stuff happens like all the time in the Olympic movement. And there's a lot of things that really just killed my view of it and of like this magic. So while I encourage everyone, if you really want to try and be an Olympian, like, go for what you want. Like, this is just for my personal, experience and thoughts and feelings about it. So no, not official Olympics, but I do love competing. So I probably will. I've been like, I love skating. I think I would like to do a speed skating on ice or roller competition for fun, or downhill mountain biking or BMX racing I think I would like to just go and compete in those for fun. Um, I did a 5K race for my first time. It sounds so like little, but that was a huge thing for me because I've never once ran more than 100 meters, like other than maybe a couple PE classes. Like I was just sprints. So that was cool, fun, and different. I don't think I'll be doing too many more 5Ks, but that's Brian wants me to. But yeah, I might do that. But also my real, like what I'm loving now is acting, writing, and stunts. And I would love to write a movie and act in it and do stunts in it. Whether I'm a lead or not, I probably wouldn't make myself a lead because of just the ideas I have. I just would want someone that's not me, like a totally different type of character, but I might insert myself somewhere, do that. But I really have realized the power of stories. Like they resonate, like they really change people. These, like what we're talking, podcasts, TV, movies, everything, books, even comic books, like people love stories. And I feel like that can be my niche and my purpose of, I know I love to perform and create and write, and that's what I've always loved. And now I'm just finding my venue of what I can do with it and how it can actually make it matter or impact or be something special for this world. So that's what I'm working on now. And who knows, maybe I'll just write about it, an Olympic athlete, and just go fulfill my own dreams, which I might, you never know. But I do that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
That's awesome. Last question, and we're good to go. So, because you and I are similar with the whole bullying thing,
Mm-hmm.
with all the knowledge and wisdom that you have now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to your past self? Like, if you can go back in time and look at your past self, and obviously you would recognize you,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell yourself?
Haters gonna hate. No, but seriously,
I love it. Is no wisdom. No, it's not gonna get better. None of that. Just haters gonna hate, and then poof.
well, I really, yeah. I'm laughing and I'm serious because I was 25 when I realized a lot of my bullying was due to people jealous of me and hating on me, and I was 100% unaware. I thought like what I got kicked off of a D1 hockey team for something I didn't do, and I was told I wasn't good enough. And it took me until from 2007 to 2014, someone told me what really happened through literally at the Olympic Training Center. Like I ran into someone I hadn't seen since 2007. It was someone's parents. The goalie of my hockey team was on the Olympics, and her parents were in town for Olympic trials or whatever. But they told me what really happened. I was like, oh wow, I really just had a bunch of haters. And like I was depressed for 4 years because I thought I wasn't good enough. And then I started working for the Atlanta Hawks, the NBA team, for event marketing. And I had a buddy of mine, and I'm just sharing stories. And I was like, man, yeah, I guess, blah, blah. And he's like, Megan, you have a bunch of haters. So I was like, what's a hater? I was 25 years old, and I didn't know what a hater was. Like, that's how much of a bubble. And he's like, like they literally hate you because they're jealous. And I was like, but why would they be jealous? I'm not even good. And they're like, no, you literally were the best or so good or something. And they just wanted to knock you down. And like I had to sit with that and be like, wow, there's actually people out there that want to bring people down because they can't bring themselves up. And I just learned that so late in life. And I wish someone could tell me like at age 4 that. And I was like, like, and maybe some people were just mean, but like in my mind, I was like, I remember my own high school teacher making fun of me, my theater teacher being like, oh, your arms, look at you, you're so defined, and look at the way you're walking, and like I like the way I walk, whatever. But I was like, wow,
you had that swag, you had that drip going on.
Yeah, so swag, just walking like a hockey player, which is not anything dainty at all. But I look back and I'm like, wow, she's actually like jealous of my body, but a teacher can't, like, really weird also. And I'm like, what? But I didn't know that at the time. I actually just hated myself more after that. And so yeah, I would like to just tell young me, haters gonna hate. So, but yes, it will get better. And ultimately you should just love yourself and if you can change something you want to change of yourself, go ahead and change it. But if it's something you can't change, you have to accept it and know that it's special and it's cool and it's unique, and it might actually serve a really good purpose later in life. Like a scar might actually help you get a role like in something you want, or the way you speak might actually get you a job, a radio job you've always wanted. Like there's certain things you have to be like, it's special if you can't change it. And yeah, learn to, you know, just love yourself and F them.
Yeah. There you go. Megan Dovell, everybody. Thank you for coming. Megan, where can we find you on social media? And if you have anything to promote, now's the time.
You can find me on social media. I think if you type in my full name, it's fine. My Instagram handle is megaperform, I think with an underscore. I can't remember. But if you type in Megan Dovell, you'll find me. I'm like one of the only ones ever. And I mean, if you want, you could check out my YouTube channel, Reactions and Reviews. We are on a stall right now while we're filming other things, but if you want to tune in, we might be posting some new stuff in a month or two, and maybe I'll post some more of my stunt and acting work on there as well, and you can see what I've been up to in that world. But yeah, ultimately just go check out my Instagram and I'll try and post some stuff. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always nervous with these, but I really enjoy it. And I think I've learned some things today, and I'm going to be able to like think about this today and go forward and have an awesome day because of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on here. And as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We love you. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.